I wouldn't be able to either.
Anybody need yours letter?
All right. Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. Good afternoon, everyone, to our April meeting for 2023. And I want to ask if has everybody read their minutes or gone over them? Mike, I know I sent them out online, so I read mine there. Sure. Now that everybody's read over the minutes, I entertain a motion to accept. Nope. No, just a motion. Just a motion.
I just got a quick question.
Yes.
It says on the minutes, next meeting date is May 1st. Should that be right? Or should it be today?
On the minutes it says that?
Yeah, that was probably me.
Yep.
We put it on there too.
Let's go ahead and we'll amend the minutes till April, to read April 3rd. And just so that folks know and understand, like, we asked for a motion, but a motion does not have to be a motion to accept. It can be a motion to reject. It can be a motion to table. There are a lot of things this board can opt. So you hear the little commentary between Ron and I, just to make sure that we're not trying to force the board to kind of make a particular motion. You make whatever motion you want to make. So typically, unless there's a big problem, it's a motion to accept, but it doesn't have to be.
Can I entertain a motion to accept?
Nope, just accept motion, just a motion, any motion.
I make a motion to, accept the meeting minutes the way they are with the amendments to read the April 3rd change.
Okay, motion made. Second. Any discussion? Okay, so accepted. Nope. Well, they
have to vote.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Beautiful. Okay. Before we go on, I just want to apologize for the sound. For some reason, we get a lot of feedback from today's setup. I don't know why. If it gets out of control, I'll go in and adjust the volume again, but just in advance, if anybody sees me jump up, it's because of getting feedback or some other major issue. Apologize for that.
Okay, the next thing on our agenda is the treasurer's report.
Hi, David. The treasurer's report was given to you by email or also included in your packet, and it is for March 31, 2023. First item on it is the general fund. which is in good shape. There is an item on there, the outreach coordinator, which shows a negative balance of $3,448. That is the money that we were obligated to pay to Rob Cormier.
Nope.
That's not the
Nope.
determination.
So it's 7551 is wrong, the one just above it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong. Not my best day. The line above, custodian termination, that line, $7,551.31. That had to be paid to Rob. He's still a city employee, but he had accumulated pension, sick leave, and vacation time. So that all had to be given to him, and it had to come out of our budget because he had worked for us. The line above it, for the custodian, we still have a balance of $18,008.90. That is to pay for a new custodian, if we get one, pay him from when he starts until June 30th. So that's the only two. Any other question on the general fund?
I am going to mention the outreach coordinator since you brought it up. You'll see two lines. Outreach coordinator, the negative 3448, that's our expenses today coming from the general fund. At the end of the year, typically the entire cost of the outreach coordinator is borne by the grant. So you'll see the next item says payment by grant in advance. So we've already paid that out of the grant. That $7,000 expense shows in the grant. So those two should net out by the end of the year, as opposed to us showing our payable and then reimbursing it. We thought this would be a better way so that we could see in real time what the expenses were. In addition to the outreach coordinator expenses in the general fund, we did allocate some of those expenses already in the state grant before we went to this new system. You'll see those expenses when we get to talk about the grant budget. That's the only thing I wanted to mention.
As we both say, we're in good shape. The 2 year period, we've got April, May, and June, and then we start in with another budget. But that's it. But so far, we should make it, right, Mike? He's done some projections.
Yeah, I did, and I included those projections for you. They're very, 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 very preliminary. In the salaries, it looks like we might have a little bit of a surplus, and in the right now, based on today's numbers and what we expect for expenses, we should have a surplus in the op portion of the general fund as well. That changes dramatically. So last year, we were kind of sitting with a lot of money in the op, and then all of a sudden we had major expenses. So I'm projecting the best I can. It looks like we'll have a little bit of a surplus, but now it's literally month by month. We don't really know what we're going to look like until we get closer to June. Paul.
Clarify custodian termination.
So at the end of employment, any employee who has an accrued balance of vacation time or sick leave buyback is paid out in cash for that.
Okay.
So this is accumulated vacation time and sick leave buyback still on the books that we had to pay all our employees who terminated this past year.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any other question? If not, the gift fund, we did get two gifts in March. One for $3,000 came from the Community Health Connection, and that was to thank us for manning the vaccination clinics and the shingles and all those clinics. So they sent that $3,000, and Mike, we thought it would be a good idea to put it in the gift fund for now, as we are, we're not really desperate, and as we get moved, we are going to be doing something from the gift fund, and that will make it easier to spend from the gift fund.
The Commonwealth of Massachusetts was given some locations, a small stipend for hosting for their expenses. We've incurred certainly more than 3,000 expenses relative to our COVID clinics. Just as an example, every clinic we have, we buy food for all our volunteers and the staff that are here. So that's usually, you know, a couple hundred, several $100 for snacks and things like that to pay, or to feed rather, the volunteers. So, and then when you think about utility costs, overhead costs, staff time, we've done, I don't know, 12 clinics, 10 clinics. So this was just a way to say, hey, thank you for hosting. There were no strings attached. It wasn't tied to anything. It wasn't to be a reimbursement. It was just in recognition of hosting.
Okay. Any questions on the gift fund? Okay. The next is the revolving fund. There's no income in March, and not too many expenditures. They're listed under that column March 2023. A total of the apparel got reclassified. Where did we put that 509?
That 509 went out of professional development
Professional development.
in the general fund.
The general. So the total out of the revolving fund was only $445.15. And of course, if anyone, any of the activities needed supplies or anything that would have been given to them, but March was a relatively quiet month, so $445.15, and there is still $33,771.85 in the revolving fund. And you don't have to spend it all.
And just for a reminder for those that are new to the board, and by the way, we'll do that in a minute. Our cap used to be 20,000, and we generally carried more than 20,000 over. So it seems like we made a lot of money this year, and we really haven't. We are up a few $1,000s more than we were end of year last year, but it's not incredibly more. And the city decided, because we were generally carrying a large balance forward, and it's meant to kind of support those programs that don't otherwise have income. They maxed out, or they increased the maximum allowed to carry over. So we're at 40,000. At 40,000, we'll be faced with the prospect of having to turn cash back. I don't see us bringing in $7,000 net income in the revolving fund over the course of the next 3 months. I don't think it's something we have to worry about, but it is just something to keep on the radar and know and understand that we have a max of 40,000 we can carry over. We're at 33, so 75%.
Okay, and the next page is our state grant for FY 2021, and it looks like Mike has got that zeroed out, I hope.
We are zeroed out, yeah.
Zeroed out.
And we shouldn't see any changes in that between now and June, and then July 1 we'll stop reporting on it.
And that will be off. So the next page is,
Just so you know, by the way, in FY 2021, there's the other 32, 33, 67 in outreach coordinator expenses. So if you add that 32, 33, plus the 3,000, I lied. Yeah, 3,448 in the general fund, that's our net is $6,000, almost $7,000 in expenses for the outreach coordinator all year. Oh, that's not bad.
and now we have the state grant for FY '22, and Mike has been trying to get that spent down. You can see the expenses in the column under March 2023, and at the moment, we've only got a balance of $1,123.10 left in that state grant. So we're getting there, and as he said, the outreach coordinator has been transferred. Oh, so that's a blank there. So anyway, that almost ready to close that one out.
And we've already paid out on April 2nd, we paid out $600 for yoga expenses towards that for instructors, Becky and Marcel. So we'll have about $500 left at the end of April if we have no other expenses, but we will. So that'll close out. Just as a point of interest and information, last month, our FY 2022 report showed a balance of about $100, but we reclassified all of the outreach coordinator expenses to the FY 23 grant, just so that we could keep them all in line and not have 4 different grants that we're pulling them from. So we decided to consolidate those expenses of the 9350 total in the FY23 grant. But understand that 7,000 is in that, right? So when I talked about the 7,000 that we front-loaded the grant, that's part of that 9370, is 7,000 that went to the general fund. All right, that's FY 2022.
And now, the last in FY 2023, and this is now our active one. And you can see what was spent out in March, not too much. Amazon, Simply Grounded, and Avers Insurance. $1272.50 was paid out. And otherwise, it looks in good shape. But I might want to add a few words about 2023.
Nah, there's really not a whole lot to add. The biggest expense were shirts. We purchased the volunteer shirts for our volunteer recognition event that we're having in June. So that's at $971. So we bought 250 shirts, I think. So we got a really good price on them. Plus, they're all screen printed. So that's a pretty good deal. That was really the biggest expense for March in the FY23 grant.
Then that brings us to, then down below on that same page is the consolidation. You can see FY21 is zeroed out. FY22 is got $1,123 left, which will hopefully be zeroed out. And for FY23,
FY23 balance is $48,000.
And down below that, are listed the expenses again, and for this month. And unless there's some questions on the state grants, or any other questions?
I just noted error on the consolidated report. I did not pull over the March expenses for the outreach coordinator. So that shows, zero, but that's not, I mean, the total of 12,584 is correct. That includes the 7,000. I just didn't bring over the March balance. I just noticed that. Consolidated balance. They all show up in the 3 separate years. I didn't bring over the consolidated balance.
Are there any questions?
I do. I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
On the 23 state grant, the beginning balance is 49,000, blah, 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 and underneath it is the increase, which is 14,508. So if you add those two together, you're getting around 68,000. And based on the fact that you spent 15,000, right?
Yeah.
Should come out to 48, something, right?
Yeah, which would show the balance
Right.
in the FY23, 48. Yep.
So this 48,126.
Yep.
How come it doesn't correlate to the balance on the consolidated report?
I bet it does. If you take the FY 2023 beginning balance of 33,618.26 and add the 14,508, that should come out to
15,508.
yeah, that's 126. Yes.
There's the 15,508.
14,508 in the FY 2023 increase. So that we really haven't touched the increase. All we've touched is
Right.
the 33,120, 33, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Everybody follow that? So Paul was asking why the balance didn't show, but we broke the balance down into the two line items. The regular grant, which we expected at 49,464, plus the increase, which sits as its own line item. Good question, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions?
Entertain a motion?
Right.
Entertain a motion to accept.
Oh, it was so close. It was this close.
Entertain a motion.
I will make
accept the minutes, not the minutes, the treasurer's report.
Okay, do we have a second?
That's all.
Pat will second it.
Really consistent.
I know.
Any formal discussion? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, we're all set. Next thing on our calendar is the old business. And,
Well, let's do the age-friendly designation first.
Okay.
And then under new business. So just so you know, we're progressing. We've talked to EOEA and the Mass Council on Aging. They're going to provide us a speaker to come in and do a presentation at a future board meeting, probably June, if that works for you, just to talk about age-friendly, the process, and the benefits. I think we were able to talk a little bit about it last month and got a general consensus that this was a good idea to proceed with. From my perspective, it's a really good idea because it'll allow us to do some very specific strategic planning around a master plan in the city to make Gardner have all of the kind of essential services that makes it an age-friendly community. So that looks at things like shopping and transportation and communication and healthcare in a kind of very broad review. I think that'll be cool to do. Also about access to parks and housing and things like that. And it doesn't mean we have to have all those things available and ready. What it does allow us to do is start to create that strategic vision on how in 5 years or 10 years we might develop a infrastructure to support those different aspects that come out from the strategic plan. So I think for our perspective, that's a really good thing to do. Ron and I, with your approval and support, we've been doing listening sessions, and it really started, it built the foundation for us to start doing this planning, and this is the logical next step. So just wanted to give you an update on that we have confirmed with those two agencies. They're going to send somebody out. We just have to narrow down, or nail down rather, the date, and we'll be good to go. Once we do it, we will then probably have a contingent from the Council on Aging Board present to the Welfare Committee of the City Council, and then ask the City Council, if we agree to this, ask the City Council for their support. Those are the last kind of 3 steps. It does take the City Council and the Mayor's support to put in for the request to start the age-friendly designation process. Any questions? Any thoughts? I mean, I kind of think this is exciting, so if there's nothing else that really floats your boat, I think this would be a great thing. And many of you participated in the listening sessions, and I think got a lot out of it. This is going to be a lot more involved, and I think it will be just as fun and informative. So I hope that you'll take us up on our invitation.
Can I ask a question? Is this on the letter that I saw that you sent out today with the note?
No, it is not. No,
That's not.
no.
I know there was something about the age-friendly designation. That's what I was asking.
All right. New business, let's do the first order of new business. Ron, I'll let you do that.
Okay, the first order of new business was going to be to accept Mr. Stanley Luchko as our new associate member of the Board of the Council on Aging.
We have accepted him. He was voted in last month. So this is typically the indoctrination. This is the installation ceremony. So Stan, if you stand, no, I'm just kidding. You don't have to do that. Welcome, Stan. I've known Stanley a long time. I just want to thank the members of the board that reached out to him and talked to him about coming on the board. He's been an active and engaged community member for pretty much his whole life. And I think you bring a lot of relevance and experience to the board. So thank you for expressing your interest. Thank you for reaching out. And thank you for agreeing to come on. For those that are watching, Mr. Chair, if I could give this gratuitous plug, we're growing our board. So a year ago, maybe we'd have a meeting of 5 members, or not a year ago, 2 years ago. So we're doing a little bit more. We're trying to include the board in more of the discussion and real nuts and bolts of the senior center programs and services, and you have responded in kind, to which I am eternally grateful. You make our center better every day. each and every one of you for all the things you do. So thank you for taking the time and making the effort. If there's somebody out there watching that's interested, please give Ron or I a call. Let's talk about what you hope and expect to bring to the board and how you can help us, and maybe discuss that interest and bring it to our board for review. But we're constantly looking for new members, and we're looking for people with different perspectives. Our bylaws allow us to bring in non-senior members to the board who represent a senior community activity or service. So if you're engaged somehow out there and want to be involved in the Council on Aging, we welcome and invite you to do so. With that, with your permission, Ron, I'm just going to go right into the director's report. I'm going to make this quick this week. You know, we have been absolutely crushed with programs, and obviously trying to make up a little bit of the time and work that we have lost from our facilities manager leaving has put you know, a little bit of a strain. I'm not going to complain because it's actually been fun and rewarding. So don't really have a lot to say from a prepared remarks perspective, except I want to let you know that some significant things are happening as it relates to healthcare. There's some discussions about UMass not taking Fallon and Tufts anymore, and if indeed that happens, what the impact will be on our senior community that subscribes at a very high level to those health plans. So we're looking at doing some programs and providing information, support, networking for those folks that might be impacted by that. We are also being proactive. Mass Health announced two major things going on in their world. The first is renewal, which has been ceased during COVID under federal order. There was no renewals, and people couldn't lose their Mass Health coverage or Medicaid coverage during that time. But effective April 1st, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is starting that renewal process. There are a few folks that may just automatically be renewed, but by and large, most people who are on Mass Health are going to have to go through the renewal process. And that is, again, a large number of seniors. We estimate somewhere between 25 and 30% of folks that are on Mass Health are senior citizens. And so trying to minimize the impact on them, talking to them about renewal looks like, by the way, some of those folks went on to Mass Health during the non-required renewal period. So this will be a new experience for them. So we're going to be doing some programs on what renewal looks like, what documentations you need, when you have to respond, how you have to respond, and how we can help. We're adding some additional capacity here at the Senior Center to support our seniors in that renewal process, to assist them meet any of the obligations required under renewal. But the other interesting thing, and this is a weird thing, Mass Health also increased its income eligibility and asset limit restrictions. So you can have more assets and more income than you did a year ago to be eligible for Mass Health. The problem with that is, let's say the increase is X percent. Well, Social Security went up by 2 times X, right? The percentage increases were 3% each year, which we haven't seen in a while. I don't know how substantial new eligibility will be on Mass Health for seniors. I don't know the answer to that. But just looking at the income guidelines, my first impression is there will be a lot of folks who weren't eligible for Mass Health a year ago that may be today as seniors. So what are we doing? We're going to do a program on Mass Health eligibility. That's coming up with our partners from Integrity Medicare and Mass Health to provide that information to our seniors. So we invite and encourage folks, whether they're a senior or not, if they want to come and hear about that program, they certainly can. To access the services and support of the Senior Center, you must be over the age of 60 or disabled senior. So that's the big thing. Newsletter, just so you know, our communications plan is going robust. We are so grateful that folks are trusting us with their information, including email. We've built our email communications program substantially. Again, about 3 years ago, we had somewhere between 50 and 100 emails. Today, we have about 1,100. So folks are certainly getting more comfortable with using technology and sharing that technology. And that allows us to be able to do some mainstream communication easily and affordably with our seniors. Our newsletter, our publisher just gave us, I think it's a big deal for us. They've increased the number of pages we're allowed to, content from 8 to 12. So we were doing an 8-page newsletter before. We'd send out by email an infinite number of pages. I think the greatest number by email I can send out, or I have sent out, is 24 pages. But the printed newsletter is substantially smaller than the online. They've increased that to 12 pages. And the reason they've increased it, anybody want to guess?
More information, more stuff going on?
No. It's all about money. And we've increased substantially the number of advertisers and the number of people who want to advertise. So yeah, I'm going to just totally refer that back to the folks that are doing programs here. We're creating substance, we have content, and folks are recognizing that the Senior Center is moving in the right direction, doing a lot of things for seniors in the Gardner community. As a result, our business community is saying, hey, we want to be a part of that, and they're supporting us. So I am going to just make sure that you all know and understand how very appreciative I am of those that are making an investment, a financial investment in the Senior Center by supporting our newsletter. Thank you. It just allowed us, by the way, also a year ago LPI changed its parameters for us, and because we were being successful selling ads, they allowed us to go to a full color newsletter. Well, on April 1st we went to a full color newsletter, 12 pages. You can probably figure out the costs associated with that. Well, we've built in the support on the other side to all of our advertisers, from Mac Funeral Home, Boucher Funeral Home, our financial people. Thank you so much for supporting the Gardner Senior Center. A couple events that in particular I want to let you know about are our shredding events. We confirmed with the Board of Health and E.L. Harvey that we're doing a shredding event on the weekend of July 4th. I think it's July 1st is the date. Looking at newsletters to correct me. It is July 1st, thank God for small favors. That's open to the community. It's not just the senior community. That's a big deal for us. We did about a little over 2 tons of paper last year in what I think was a very mild pace. It certainly wasn't slow, but it wasn't fast. So hoping to get the word out. We'll share that document on social media. Ask you to share it as well. We'll be doing that shredding event here with the support of the Gardner Board of Health, E.L. Harvey, and of course our service organization, AARP. So that's going on July 1st. I want to mention just the donations. We've received a lot of donations, and there are some really kind of stalwart supporters that each and every year, not for advertising or for any other purpose, just provide some funding to the seniors to do their programming. And so without kind of getting into the specifics, I want to make sure that they know that this board, I think, really in its recent history, last 10 or 15 years, is more involved in the financials than we've ever been. We're really scrutinizing it. We're giving you kind of detailed lists. Our treasurer spends time reviewing it with us. We really take that financial stewardship to heart. So we try not to be too frivolous, but we have some money right now, so we're making investments in our infrastructure for when we move to Waterford Street. So we'll have the materials and the furniture and the furnishings that we need to support our program down there. But I think that not only should board members know that, but the community know we're really trying to be good stewards of the funds that you give us. In that regard, a couple seniors, well, more than a couple, in the last 6 months, we've had a lot of requests or suggestions or offerings of furniture and furnishings for our new senior center. We received a fairly new, almost new condition living room set, so couch, love seat, a couple armchairs, some coffee tables. You may say, well, what the heck do you need that for? That's going to go in our lounge and library. So we'll take the rockers out, use the rockers throughout the facility, and kind of create a more warm and inviting space for our computer center, our library, and our tech center. In addition, as you know, we've talked about, we've worked with about 24 homeless seniors in the last 2 years. Those homeless seniors were in living situations that didn't allow them to have furnishings, and working with our partners like the folks from the Gardner Housing Authority, Bernal House, some private landlords, we were able to get those people into apartments. But can you imagine what their furnishings look like leaving a tent. So they went into a beautiful, well, you know, comfortable apartment, beautiful apartment, with no beds, no couches, no coffee table, no dining room. And again, people in the community stepped up. The Gardner Emergency Housing Mission has given us access to their stockpile of furniture. They receive donations and hold it in advance until somebody is in need, and then they give that furniture out. Likewise, we're returning that favor. So in the last 6 months, when folks have said, hey, you know, we have some furniture, can you use it? We typically don't say no to any furniture that we can use. And what we can use at the center, we take and gratefully acknowledge. And the other furniture that they don't want and is useful, in good condition, we then turn back to GEM. Because at some point in time, we'll be tapping GEM. I just want you to know and understand that relationship. It's so important that we support the organizations that support us. So if you hear about somebody donating a bedroom set, it's not going into the director's office. As much as some days I feel like I need it, it's not. On Friday, we had the opportunity to go and pick up almost a brand new, 1 month old. So 1 month ago was unwrapped from plastic, was used for a month, and then the person who used it, the patient, ended up going into an assisted living nursing home facility and didn't need the bed anymore. And the children contacted us to see if we wanted it. It's not remarkable, except the children were from Bolton and the parent from Concord. And so the word is out that some good things are happening here. They heard about us, they knew that we were, and we're flipping a lot of durable medical equipment, folks, just so you know, that we have that opportunity. We've been asked a number of times for hospital beds, and we don't have them. And now folks that do have them are saying, let's make sure that when the need is there, we can meet that need. We picked that up on Friday. So some really cool things happening. I hope you're as excited as I am. I hope that you're as satisfied as I am. I would like at some point in time to talk about the board. The board does make recommendations about salary, and I'm not bringing salary up to the table right now. What I would like to do is talk about a 360 job performance that the board conducts. I found those bad. So when the board, in my previous role, when the board did a review, they had a very, very specific perspective on what the CEO did. So we asked and employed some folks from Hayward Hospital's HR department to help us do a 360. And what a 360 does is it talks to folks that we're associated with at all levels. So it'll talk with our peers at City Hall. It'll talk with our providers, program providers. It'll talk with our staff. It'll talk with members of the senior community that use our services and get a real feel and flavor for what is working from the director and what's not. In what ways can I improve and which ways am I excelling? And as a board, you'll conduct that if you'd be willing to. I'm gonna just put that out there for consideration. We can talk about it next month if you want. Maybe look at starting that in fall. It's not a hard or rigorous process, but it does take some investment of people's time and a focus. Short-term kind of blast of time, long-term duration allows us to set a plan and a vision for me and the work that I do and the staff does to make this a better center. And I think it also really provides the opportunity to get feedback from a lot of our constituents as opposed to just kind of those folks that are close to us or closest to us. Any thoughts or comments about that? What do you think? Anybody ever done a 360?
I did,
You did?
when I was with UPS.
Yeah? How'd you like it?
It was fine.
Yeah.
It was a little different because we had to pick up the managers in different departments to rate us. So that was a little difficult, and you could not use the same people from the year before. So 7 years, it's hard to think of names
Yeah.
that hadn't reviewed you before.
Yeah, I didn't have that much, nor did I take that luxury or liberty at doing that. I'll ask you to pick, we'll list all our vendors and you pick whoever you want. I'll list the folks that we work with most at City Hall and you pick who you want. And then maybe have a team do each of those. So maybe a team from the city, a team from the from the healthcare providers, a team from our community partners, whatever that looks like, and we can start to talk about that a little bit more. And now's a good time, right? Now's a good time to be looking at that.
Excuse me, who would they be reviewing? Would it be like us
It's me.
reviewing?
Yeah, you're reviewing me. So what you're going to specifically do, let's say you meet with, and the most obvious one is Julie Means from the CDC. You're going to meet with Julie, you'll all have kind of the same script. What's the communication style look like? What's, I don't know, how thorough, how detailed, those kinds of things. A typical evaluation, but that evaluation is going to be done from outsiders, as opposed to, having Ron do it. I see him work with Ron every day, and I certainly admire and respect his opinion. But I think there's an affinity, and when there's an affinity, sometimes there's a bias. So let's see if we can reduce that bias a little by getting some more involved input. Paul?
Have you got a sample that you bring next month and just
Yep.
hand them out?
Yep,
And we can modify or take it or whatever, to give us an idea of what's expected.
yep, can do that, perfect.
And it's all directed at you.
It's my, so instead of, getting two people from the board, look, Gloria. I will get you, my crazy. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm thick-skinned, I'm pretty thin-skinned, but I really do appreciate the feedback, and it's from that feedback that we've been able to do better. And I don't think we can ever do better if we're not really asking all of the folks that are impacted by the senior center what they think of the leadership, what they think of the staff, and how we're doing. That's all I had for the director's report, Ron. Oh, Terry.
Could I just ask, the city hall, do anybody at city hall, do they still do evaluations for their department heads at all? No, they don't do that anymore.
No, and I get why they don't, and they certainly, for the staff, it's an issue of union, and we do regular meetings, regular feedback meetings with the staff, just to talk about ways to improve. We do regular training, so I ask them, what do you need? How can we enhance it? Or if I see there's a need, we try to direct that training towards that need. But we don't really do performance evaluations. It's not within kind of the parameters of city employment. But I still think it's a worthwhile endeavor,
Oh, yeah, no, I could.
formally or informally, just as a way for you.
I was just
hear.
asking for former, we used to hate those darn performance evaluations at City Hall, and your boss would put it down, and then they got, so you had to write it, no, I was just asking, that's all.
Yeah, I'm certainly game for writing my own if you want me to do that. I'm okay with that too.
Well, you should write a summary of how you feel you do in those areas.
Just,
Right.
Yeah.
no, I think
Don't
you're
cry,
right.
Mike. Just don't cry.
Cool.
Can I get back to Mass Health?
Yep.
The renewal? I know that you're looking at a date. What are you thinking? Where?
April 28th. And April 28th is going to be a very, very busy day here at the Gardner Senior Center.
That's the same day as the one thing?
It is, yeah. So we'll be doing the wound thing, we'll be doing the Medicare thing. 2 great programs. I'm probably going to do them back to back. The Haywood Hospital Center for Wound Care, has been really good to work with, and they provide some excellent information. Similarly, the Care Center VNA program coming up on fall prevention. People are like, why are we doing fall prevention in April? Well, first of all, September's coming quick. For those of you who have a good sense of humor, you'll understand fall prevention, September, October. All right, that being said, I can't not throw a joke in there. I can't be serious this long. But falls happen all the time, and with our seniors, it really happens around the house. It happens in the bathrooms and tripping on furniture and slipping on wet kitchen floors, as much, if not more, than slipping on the ice and snow. And so that's why we do it. And the Center for Wound Care, wound prevention, these kind of really, tough, aggressive wounds that folks are experiencing, especially later in life, with medical complications like diabetes, tend to create much more difficult healthcare problems for those folks. So, like understanding wound prevention, wound care, how to get the right treatment and get it quick so that it doesn't turn into something worse. I can tell you somebody very close to me recently very recently had a leg amputated because of, poor wound care, poor circulation and stuff like that. Might have been mitigated, maybe, but they kind of went too little too late in the process. So I think it's a great program. So the 28th is the date, and it's in the newsletter, so I can tell you exactly what time I'm thinking.
What is?
April 28th. That is a Friday. 11 a.m. for the Mass Health.
Right.
10 a.m. for the wound care. The wound care is going to do, nope, that's 11 a.m. too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
Nope, we're going to, if you come, we're going to have you all in one room. We're going to do a wound care presentation, then a Mass Health presentation all together. We're here till 1 o'clock.
And be here at opening so you can get a parking space.
It's going to be tight.
Are we gonna shoot people first, or?
Yeah. And then make them eligible for this field? No. Yeah.
Can I have just another question?
Okay.
Oh, no, just a new item. Is it possible for, at our new facilities, for us to have a old bill drop container?
No, so that's a medication drop. Great question, and I know way more about this than I ever should. So, as part of my role as suicide prevention coordinator, we looked at drug take-back or med drops as an important part of harm reduction. And there was a time, in fact, that Family Pharmacy had a drug take-back box at Haywood Hospital. CHC still has one, and the police station there. Here's the issue, that when those drugs, especially narcotics or controlled drugs, are dropped in the box, they then have to be controlled. They have to be under constant supervision, 24 hours locked up. So you can't lock them up in a place that everybody leaves. For example, Haywood Hospital, when the pharmacy was closed, there was really no supervision of that box. DEA regulations prohibit that. Now, I went seriously to the mat with DEA, not with the Gardner Police Department, with DEA, to try to get them to reason with the fact that we had the 3 drug boxes with no problems in the city, but their new regulations were prohibitively restrictive and onerously created onerous liability on the people that had those boxes. As a result, oh, and by the way, not only did they have to come up with a huge insurance policy, but DEA was then making them responsible for the cost of the DEA agents or their agents, the Gardner Police Department, to come in and pick the drugs off and drop them off at the incinerator. So there was that additional, and that cost was about $3,000 a hit. So every time that box was empty, they'd have to dole out $3 grand. They said, forget it. CHC still does it because they're a federally qualified health sector and are able to provide that service. And there's one at Gardner Police Station. But, Paul, one last bit, because this is really good information. We do a drug take-back program here at the Senior Center. So we do that in conjunction with the Gardner Police Department. So if on our Breakfast with a Badge Day, one of our seniors has medications and they're coming to the bread and raffle, or they're coming to bingo, or they're coming to coffee with a cop, they can bring their bag, and the police officers that are there will take those drugs down to the police station and discard them for our seniors under the guidance that it's in their custody, care, and control. So the cool thing about the drug take-back programs and boxes is one other thing. It's completely anonymous. Even though you might still have your label on there, nobody looks at it, they're not allowed to look. It goes into a lockbox, lost container, they pack it up in a truck, they bring it to incinerator, they throw it in the incinerator and burn it. So nobody's documenting what drugs were dropped off. I would say, that's a really important consideration for folks that may have things that they're not incredibly excited for people to know they have. Sleeping meds, controlled substances, Oxycontin, Percocets, those kinds of things. There's also a separate needle box at the police station and CHC. So you can do needle drop-off. I'm not saying they're excluded, but it's not just about illicit drug use. If you use needles for diabetes, it's sometimes hard to get rid of those, although you can discard those in a landfill now, but it's better if you don't, right? Let's do the needle drop-off at the police station. So great question, really good program, one that we are super excited about and supportive of, but we can't do it.
Yeah, it seemed like a natural place to get rid of them.
It really does. Yeah, it really does. It's just a great idea. One of my other concerns at the news center would be, we're not going to have necessarily a locked and secure facility in that regard. We'll have a locked place, we'll have it armed and alarmed and that kind of stuff, but it will be untethered access for the rest of the facility. And I'm certain, no doubt in my mind, that that would create a more deep concern for DEA, and they would never authorize it. I'm certain of that. Paul?
Kind of picking up what Paul said about the center adding services. In your discussions, has there been any discussions about possibly having a real lab?
Paul Leon, me. Paul Leon, me. We have a computer center. We have a tech center here, in fact, downstairs. We have 2 computer stations. We will be expanding that to at least 4, maybe 6.
Are we
They're expanding. I knew that's where you were going. But we will certainly have at least the 2. We were also going to expand our tech tidbits, which is tech information and training for folks that are new to tablets, cell phones, or the like-minded technology. So the answer is yes, we will continue to have a tech center. I had a great conversation today, just about how we expand it. We are getting 3 Chromebooks soon here to the senior center to support our cricket classes, so that folks that come in can use those Chromebooks to design and create the graphics they need to do the cricket cuts. That'll be nice. You don't have to have your own laptop.
Mike, just to go back to the drug disposal, you should tell everyone, it's so easy to get rid of them at the police station. You don't have to, you all you gotta do is go drive up, park your car, you could be in the handicap spot for a couple minutes, just walk to the lobby, the door's open, the thing is there, turn around, go back and leave. You don't have to see anybody, wait in line or anything. Very, very easy.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah, and I have literally parked where there was no parking space. So I don't have to walk too far to the door, there's no parking space there.
Kathy, we do not want to encourage people to drive up on the curb.
There's a parking lot, there's no spaces, right up against the door.
And again, on the 3rd Thursday of every month, we do the drug take back program here with the Gardner Police
I
Department.
was just looking at the date, April the 20th.
April 20th.
April 20th.
So the next one?
Yeah.
Do
Tracy,
you have monitors for the visually impaired?
we have
Larger
monitors.
size monitors, so that way the visually impaired can see it better.
No, but we are looking at a age-friendly and dementia-friendly side of the senior center. So we're actually working on doing not only those kind of support systems, we don't really have anything for hearing impaired, and we don't have a robust even interpretation program. And you may say, well, mostly French Canadian, or actually it's not true. We've had a number of folks that are non-English speaking come to the Center for Services. Luckily, we were able to engage some interpreters for that purpose, but I didn't realize what the demand was until you realize what the demand is. So we're looking at that as well. Mobility impairment, we're going to be addressing pretty well. And then there was one other, dementia friendly. And dementia friendly is about creating spaces that have the colors and the textures that will really support those folks that are struggling with dementia at any stage, including, for example, exit doors. So to keep people from wandering or want to wander, you paint your exit doors in a very unique and creative way that isn't as attractive for someone to want to go out and leave your facility. So those are all the things. That is a really tough process, just so that the board knows. So we actually started it with our last facilities manager here. What are the things we need to do here? And there's a lot. I think we've made great headway, but there's still a lot. There's a lot we can do and a lot we should do. Paul?
Following up on that, and a corollary, we have computer lessons for people. Do we have how to use a phone lesson?
Yes. Yeah, we do. Yeah, so, and we just started that, so that's fairly new. We do, in fact. So Jen, who's here every Monday, does tech tidbits. And that's any technology. So it could be a laptop, it could be a tablet, it could be a phone, a smartphone, any technology she will help you with. Her hours here are short, but it's every week. So a couple hours every week. People come in, they kind of get their homework, and then the next week come back. And we're also limited. We can't have 40 people there. And I don't know that 40 people would be that valuable because everybody's at different levels of skill. We just got Caden Aubin, in fact, is a junior at Ashburn and Westminster, needing some service hours, and reached out to us and asked if we could do a tech program here. So on Thursday afternoons, Caden will be coming and doing some additional support for folks with technology. So learning how to use Bluetooth or figuring out how to use which remote on your, no, not the remotes, because they're all different. Everybody's house is different. Kathy?
Do you have somebody, now I don't know if this is Jen that can do it, or even this Kate, did you say?
Kate.
Okay, that can look at somebody's laptop and tell what they have on it, like services on it, like, I'll give you a very good example. I think my service warranty, security or whatever on my laptop has run out.
Your antivirus?
Yeah, my antivirus. Now, if you have somebody that can actually look at it instead
I'm
of
going to
somebody...
interrupt you real quick. Somebody just played with the mic. Oh, it's gone. I bet.
Instead of, any of us having to run to Staples or to the other guy over there that can look at your computer. I mean, I always ask my daughter, and she doesn't look at it. She pushes me off to a friend. I don't have it. I don't think. But, that can look at the inside of your computer and say, yes, you have the security.
Yep. Both Kate and Jen can do that. Yep, they can look for your antivirus support. Typically, I would say this, by the way, they can look and see what's active, but they may not be able to tell you when your subscription runs out. You may need your password and login for that, so if somebody has that question in particular, or a question about any software subscription, you should really try to bring that information with you. Jen's going to tell you that anyways. Kate's going to tell you that anyways. Go back to your password and your login and we can check it out. But we can check, certainly if you have your laptop here, any one of us could look in and say, all right, this is what you have for coverage, this is what's active and this is what's not active. Yep.
And when is that cadence starting?
Believe it or not, it's in the newsletter. April 6th. April 6th, 2:30. This coming Thursday. 2:30 to 4.
Oh, my word's right, it's my schedule.
Yeah, there really is a lot going on, and I hate to kind of defer to the newsletter, but it's even becoming difficult for me to remember. And you talk about services, we've expanded services a lot, so we have a lot more tech people in. For example, we have a mental health person coming in to, maybe certainly to help us with our own struggles, whether that's anxiety, depression, not sleep, whatever it is, right? But we recognize that there are a lot of us that are taking care of grandchildren or children that are struggling with some kind of mental health issue. Just being able to be a resource, provide information. We have a pharmacist, we have a nurse, we have a housing specialist, we have DTA. Fuel assistance is upstairs at the CAC. And at the first Wednesday of every month, we have a benefits enrollment specialist. So that person will sit with you and go over any application for any agency, for any service, anywhere. So if you're looking to become a member of the Gardner Elks and need help with your application, they'll help you. If you're looking for an application, so they will certainly help with Mass Health, as too will Integrity Medicare and Shine. So we have a lot of resources on that. But they'll help do SNAP and HIP applications as well, or register your motor vehicle appointments. Anything, any senior needs, the benefit enrollment specialist is there to help. And I think that's an important thing for us to know as a center, is that there are a lot of really unique and interesting needs of our senior community. So, really trying to kind of provide these broad-based services so that our seniors can access the benefits or the programs they need to access. All right. Any more discussion?
Okay, well, the next item will be the open discussion.
We did. We did just have
I missed it?
I
I have two things I want to bring up on the open discussion. One of them is going to be just a repeat what you did with the newsletter. I happened to pick it up Friday, and I noticed what a difference with the extra pages in there, and I noticed that your blocks are bigger in space. I find it's easier for people to read it. So thank you for that, adding that. So you and I talked about, you said, I don't know if we're going to have enough to put in there. And I said, oh, you will. But I noticed the blocks are bigger and people can read it even better.
Well, the blocks are bigger, but I'll tell you there are more blocks. And in fact, as the deadline approached to submit the newsletter, I was still trying to find space for 3 major programs in that newsletter. So that's, again, a beautiful thing to have that kind of programming. And I want to thank the people that are helping us program so far out. We were literally going month to month. You know, again, 24 months ago. We are now 6 months, 8 months out in our programming and planning. So that's just a great benefit to our staff as well.
The other thing I want to bring up is because I keep driving by the new location we're going to have at Waterford Street. And I keep arriving around, seeing if there's anything there. Like when we had gone up there, we were doing the sand this past winter, and we found the mattress, and we got rid of it, and I keep checking for that. But one of the things I've noticed is I guess we'll have to get a hold, I don't know if it's the mayor or if it's going to be the public safety committee, whatever thing, street light sign for the school, for the school was in session. I know it's still there. Can we have that still operational when we're there? Because I figure with the buses going by and people parking across the street, people on the street going to the senior center, wouldn't it be good to have the sign still working during the time that we're open?
I don't think Waterford Street is an electronic sign.
Oh, I thought it was.
No, I think that's just a plain wooden sign. I don't think that's electronic. So, by the way, I love the way you guys think. I am a fan of electronic message boards. I think they're great. Now, they certainly have some issues and problems, and I don't think Waterford Street's a great location for an electronic message board. Why? Because all those cars that are parking along the side of the road are going to limit access to seeing that message board. So, in that regard, but I am a fan of them. But in Gardner, Massachusetts, electronic message boards are prohibited by ordinance. Did you guys know that?
No.
And you're all saying, Mike, you're full of baloney because Mount Wachusett Community College has one. Mount Wachusett Community College is state property. They're outside of the purview
They
of
have
this
windmills
ordinance.
too.
What's that? They have windmills.
You can't have windmills.
Can't have windmills in Gardner. Similarly, by the way, Department of Corrections has one. But we don't have windmills. Windmills are prohibited specifically by ordinance. So you can't even put up like a little windmill on your property. So, I mean, I don't have an opinion either way on that. The electronic message boards I like. I think they're great if they're in the right location and aren't causing a, you know, traffic distraction or danger. Nope, so it's a wooden one.
Oh, this is-
But we will likely get a new, it's going to be the Hutchinson Ellis Center, and we'll need a new.
No, I happened to go by that, and those posters there, and I thought it was a regular electronic one. I didn't know it wasn't.
No, but I'm certain that there are plans to put a new sign in, whatever the center is going to be called, the kind of community center, what if they're going to name it. I do understand, just so that you all know, at least the senior center wing of that building will continue to be called the McKean wing of whatever the community center is, if not the whole community center, at least the senior center will. And that's really out of respect and recognition that this center was named for him more than 10 years ago.
He was very instrumental in getting this going when he was mayor.
Yes, it was, yeah. So the Charles P. McKean Center will still be. Any other questions, thoughts?
I have one question. Do the grants from the state require that or encourage you to purchase supplies from a woman-owned or minority-owned
They do
business through the SBA? No?
No, we don't have that. So we call it a grant, but it's actually every year a appropriation. So every COA is given this appropriation based on the number of seniors in a per capita amount. Up until 3 years ago, it was $10 per senior. Last year it was changed to $12. And the Commonwealth of Massachusetts budget right now is calling for an increase of $2 per senior. So it'll go to 14 this year if approved. So the governor's budget and the House budget has that increase. I haven't seen the Senate budget. If you're so inclined, we have great support by elected officials here. Certainly that's true, and I've just talked about how great access John has been, Representative Slotnick and Senator Goby. They've been really good to us. and good to the senior community in general. I don't think we're gonna have an issue with them in the legislature supporting an increase, but will the whole Senate go along with it, or the whole House? I don't know. And we're gonna wait till that, as those discussions get closer, I'll keep you informed about what that looks like. All right?
Okay, anything else on open discussions? All right, well, I thank you very much, and our next scheduled meeting will be on Monday, May 1st, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Thank you for coming, we'll see you then.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Don't make a motion. Entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good, motion carries.